Well, from sex to education, and we had a little music in between. So welcome to the educational session. This is a wake-up call for a better education. We need there too new values, new rules, and I guess all of you know that education is a big issue in family, in companies, and in society. Parents, as we know from our readers here from FOCUS-SCHULE, parents urgently looking for advices, for inspiration, for orientation, what to do, how to handle education, knowledge, knowledge seeking, how kids handle technology, new technology. These are all very important issues, and we will discuss this here, and we hopefully get you some good advices too. Today we have three aspects. I know that's a lot more to talk about education, and you heard about the compassion training before. There are a lot of aspects, but we have three: school education, university education, and adult education. We always learn, ladies and gentlemen, from the first breath we take, till the end. We always learn, and we have to learn. So I introduce my first two ladies here on stage. We will have a little discussion. Esther Wojcicki, right, I got it right, is an American journalist, an educator since 1984. She is teaching at the Palo Alto High School, English and journalism, and she invented the largest journalism program in the US, and she blogs on the Huffington Post, and she's a pioneer, really a pioneer, in exploring the interface between education and technology. Please come on stage, Esther. Gabi, where's Gabi Zedlmayer? Oh, she's here. Gabi Zedlmayer, please come on stage too. Gabi had so many important positions in her company, Hewlett-Packard, in Europe, Middle East, and Africa. Global marketing strategy. She leads the HP's global citizenship is member of board of the directors of the Junior Achievement, which is connected to the EU Commission e-skill leadership board. She drives the social innovation program aligned with HP's business strategy, and she's really, really into education and company. What kind of employers we need now, we will need in 5 years, in 10 years. We will talk about that. So these two ladies want to change the culture of education. Not more, not less, right? And if you want to change the culture of education, you need to change the role of teachers. You need probably to change the role of schools as an institution, the role of parents, the way we learn now and in the future. They both know each other for quite a bit time, and they told me they can't argue, they can't really discuss. We are a little sorry for that. They told me they have more or less the same idea, so I have to tease them a little bit, right? And I will do this with a pleasure. So, we all learned at school, well, English, French, Latin, Spanish, Greek. We learned how to calculate, we learned about history. What's wrong with that now? I mean, we are quite well educated and nice people. What's wrong with that? No.
And Eisenhower is president and Adenauer is chancellor. I think what's wrong with that is that we've arrived in the 21st century, and that the kids that go to school now or that finish school now were born in around, I don't know, 93, 94. They think and act very differently. They learn very differently. And I think, Esther, you're going to talk about that. And I think we need to prepare these kids better for what we as corporations need. I work for Hewlett-Packard, and we have over 300,000 people in over 170 countries. So these people need to know how to communicate across cultures, across languages. And I think this is not, the job market as our parents knew it. the way I look at it, and I think Reid Hoffman wrote that in his new book, The Start of Yourself, you need to constantly reinvent yourself. It's about your skills, and we heard that from Mrs. von der Leyen, about what's happening in 2020. I think some of it is happening and upon us right now. If you don't innovate, if you don't understand the difference that technology makes, I don't think you can be successful. And are we preparing kids to integrate technology into their learning in order to do that lateral thinking? I don't think so. I mean, today, I always challenge the team to come up with bigger, better, more efficient ways of doing things to drive to higher results. And as you know, the different business models that evolve, and as you integrate them into your work, you will do things entirely differently, but they are basically, based on the new technologies. An example is like the way we used to do research. We always try to find out, should we do this thing or that thing, this thing or that thing? And we spend a lot of money in focus groups and with quantitative research. And today, our labs guys have an app that they can send out to millions of people, and everybody gets 2 choices. It's called Ranker. And it could be about any subject, and the people choose one of them. So by the time you look at what 1 million, 2 million, 5 million, 10 million people say, you know what the preferred what the preferred choice is. So by doing that, you can practically drive to results in a very, very different way. That's the employee that I'm looking for, and that I think a lot of other companies that, work in an international scale are looking for. And I don't think at all that in these, one of my sons is here, they have a computer lab in, great, that was not rehearsed. They have a computer lab in their school, and it's sort of somewhere offsite, and it's the IT class that's being taught there. But it's not used to learn any other subjects. That's ridiculous. Sorry.
Esther, today every young person, every kid is a digital native. How has the student behavior and interest changed? What do you know about that? What can you tell us?
So I wanted to go a little bit back to, I'll answer your question, but then I also want to talk a little bit about what your first question was. So you have to ask yourself, how important is it for kids in the world today to know Greek and Latin? Not that it doesn't help you as an intellectual exercise, but that type of curriculum is not as exciting and not as engaging as learning things about the world today. And so, 100 years ago, we were training people for a society where people were primarily factory workers. They needed to learn to follow instructions. They needed to actually memorize, because if you didn't memorize, the only other way to get information was in a book, right? Or get it from a teacher, right? So today, the classroom has changed dramatically. And back to the second question, we have a whole group of digital natives, that is kids who know how to use technology. And they come into the classroom and they realize that the teacher does not know as much as the internet. And so the teacher is no longer the master of information. You can get that information yourself. And what you want to teach kids to do, you want to empower them to be able to get the right information and to differentiate between opinion and fact online. So you want to teach them how to analyze the information that they get and how to be able to use that information in an intelligent way. Because we have a different society. 30 years ago, when I first started to teach, my students, they saw me as the source of information. Today, they come to class, they know more than I do in many cases. And so the teacher that constantly tries to show they know more than the students, they lost that battle a long time ago.
But how many teachers would you say they know that they have to change their way of teaching?
So teachers, so one of the problems earlier this morning, somebody said that culture is very difficult to change. I think it was repeated in several talks. And I think that that's the same is true in education. The culture is difficult to change. Not only that, just think about what the purpose of schools are. The purpose is to pass on tradition. And so it's hard to change schools because basically they are repositories of tradition. But they need to change. because we have a huge dropout rate in America. I know that the dropout rate from college in Germany is about 30%. So kids start and they don't finish. And I know that in Germany they also need engineers and scientists. So why aren't we producing them? Why aren't they happening? In the United States, we need them too.
Everywhere.
We need them everywhere, but they're not happening because kids are going to school in exactly the same traditional classroom model. Professor at the front, students sitting quietly, and the professor lecturing. Educational studies show that that is the least effective way to learn. And yet they can learn online. They can learn online. Professors need to take advantage of that to support the teaching that's going on in the classroom. And so we need to help them. We need to change the way that professors, that teachers are trained. Yes.
Give us an example. What is your vision of the best teaching? I mean, how should it be?
Well, just imagine this conference right now. Imagine that all of you had to sit here all day long and you could not interact. And your break would be limited to 15 minutes. You could go to the bathroom. And then you can have some lunch. And then after that, you can't talk to anybody. That's what's going on in a lot of schools. You know, there is no interaction. You learn from your peers. You learn from finding information. We all learn from finding information online. So we have to allow students to do that. So my model would be, if you don't understand, for example, a professor could lecture for maybe half the time and then allow for peer interaction the other half the time. Problem solving, project-based learning. Mm-hmm. That makes a big difference. You learn from doing the project. You don't learn from listening to somebody else talk about doing the project. And so that's what
you are doing it that way.
So I'm doing it that way. Should I talk about my journalism program or not yet? Yes?
Yeah.
So I teach writing and thinking in a way that is different than other people, but it works like a charm. So my idea, your typical English teacher, you read a book, you analyze the book, you write a 5-paragraph essay. I don't know if you write these 5-paragraph essays in Germany, but in America, you write them all the time. It's like introduction, 3 body paragraphs, and conclusion. And then you tell them what you're going to tell them, you tell them, and then you tell them what you told them. It's all repetitive. It's really boring. And so who wants to read that? Well, usually nobody except the poor teachers paid to read it. And so that's the kind of writing that we're teaching people to do. So they get out of college and you wonder why they can't write. Well, all they've written is 5-paragraph essays their whole time. So my idea is to teach journalistic writing in your typical language class. So not to say that we're going to get rid of literature, but that you teach people journalistic writing is you gather information, just like a journalist does. You go online, you talk to people, you have interviews, you see, in life, real things. Then you take that information, you figure out what's most important. And then after that, you write it up and you publish it. Can you imagine you can publish it today on a blog for free? All teachers can do that. I mean, it's easy. It's funny, my students are really worried about when they publish something on a blog. Even though, God, nobody's probably gonna ever look at it. But they're still worried. So then they wanna borrow the grammar book, to make sure they get it all right, because they don't want anybody to see that they might not be doing it correctly. So it's, I don't have to control them. They control themselves. They're motivated to do it themselves. So I teach news writing. They have to go around and find information about what's going on in the community. They have to do review writing. I mean, they can review games online if they want. They can review movies. I take them out to local restaurants in groups, and they get to review the restaurant and the food they're eating. Mm-hmm. Can you imagine which kid would not want to do that? I can't think of anybody.
Well, okay, good example. Gabi, you mentioned that before. We need young people with skills in science and technology. Engineering, math, a huge problem here in Germany. We all know this. What can corporations do to help to solve that problem, and where can technology make a difference there? How can we make it more interesting and appealing?
I really think it needs to start early on because in a way we're born as little researchers. We're asking all of these questions and we drive everybody insane with our questions, but by the time we're 10, 11 or 12, all of that is gone by the way we get taught and we have to repeat and by the way we get tested. So one of the things that we said is that we'd love to, as an IT company, work with experts in the education field, and so we've chosen about 80 universities worldwide, anywhere, from any part of this globe. And we've chosen 6 different topics in this area of science, technology, engineering, and math that we think will help us really get our arms around this. And I think probably the single most important one is, as we've heard earlier, is make it an experience, make it fun, make it something that lives and breathes and something that you have a part in. Now, that's easier said than done because oftentimes you need to be close to, and that's just one example, to like a laboratory where you do these experiments. But together with these, all of these universities around the world, we've come up with a concept where you could be anywhere in the world with an internet connection. And we know from earlier today, René Schuster, it's happening around the world. And you sit there and you can participate in real life lab experiments. They can be happening anywhere around the world in universities that make lab space available to you. So you're this kid and you sit there and you say to your PC, I'm going to add another 5 grams of this and I'm going to turn up the heat by another 10 degrees. And it's really happening. It's happening in Australia, it's happening in the US, it's happening in these places that make lab space available. And this is happening today. The stuff I'm talking about is not 2020. It's happening as we speak. We have this school in Kenya where the kids sit there and they do these experiments and the real thing is happening in Australia. And you should, I have videos, I didn't bring them, but they're online on the YouTube channel. It just shows these kids are so excited. I mean, they're so far away from any of these opportunities. And I think technology is really democratizing this whole playing field. If you take a look, and we've heard that also earlier from René when he said that that a lot of these emerging markets are leapfrogging us. It's true. We've had all of these landlines and they never had them. They went right to mobile phones and they make tremendous use of them, They are so creative. If you go down to Nairobi, it's like Silicon Savannah. It's the most fascinating place you could be. We still talk about Silicon Valley. I talk about Silicon Savannah. It is fabulous what people do with very little. And they take information, and they will increasingly take open information that's made available from MIT and all of these places, Johannesburg, Tokyo, you name it. And we have to figure out, that's also a topic that we're working on, how do we ensure that these folks then get a degree? What does a multi-versity degree look like? It's no more universities. It's not brick and mortar. And that can really, this online, and I know that Shai will talk later on about a fantastic concept as well in terms of democratizing, putting stuff online. And if you add that to...
I need to ask one question. Who has a kid in school here? Okay. Have you ever heard that your kid in the physics lesson or in the chemistry lesson has done something like that? Have you ever heard that from your kid? No. That's the difference. That is the difference.
It's the difference, but one of the differences here, and this is my final point, and I'm going to shut up, is by having
you don't
80,
need to shut up.
No, but by having these 80 universities to start out with, all of a sudden you have a network. And then the word spreads. You're not working one-to-one relationships with a couple of schools and a couple of universities. They are the ones that will take the message out, and we're working with the OECD on a report. And once that gets out, I can guarantee you there will be a lot more people that raise their hands.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So I just wanted to add one thing. So they have these courses online now. They're called MOOC. They're massive, open online courses. And that means they're open to anybody. And Google just started one, and they have the first one running this week. But there's another group called Udacity out of Stanford University. You can learn to program yourself, and they can even give you a certificate. And there's a third one, Coursera. Free courses online, interactive. They're great.
Is that the future?
That is the future. That is the future, because they're fun to do. You can do them anywhere, anytime, and it relieves a lot of the pressure on brick and mortar. Yes.
And one more thing here is what we're seeing a lot happening in this field as well is much more peer-to-peer activity, and much more activity where online you get help from folks that know more than you do. And that is very important in all of this as well.
We could talk here for hours, but we won't do this. So these two ladies, Esther and Gabi, they put together 10 steps to transform education for the 21st century. You have that in the copy of FOCUS-SCHULE. So to remind you what we have to do, what we have to face. It's a long list, 10 steps. Not really easy. Let's switch to a different point. I mean, we have the teacher, we have the school, we have the students, but we have parents too. Parents, what are they doing? I mean, the situation of parents are not much better or easier than of the teachers.
Right.
They have to cope with these digital natives. They have, different visions of their life, how they learn and what they learn, as we had. So, how can the parents handle that problem? Quick idea.
So, the parents are the child's first teacher, even though they don't realize it. And it's very important. The parents are the key, because they can help the student be excited about learning. They can use iPads when they're little, but the iPad, you have to control what they're doing. You can't just give them an iPad and then just let them go at it. There are educational programs that they can use. They can learn they learn a lot through play and interaction. So I would recommend, if they want to use an iPad, I see iPads as great babysitting devices. But I would say maybe an hour at the most per day for a little kid, not any more than that. But parents need help. And you get your baby at home, they give you all these instructions on how to take care of it, but they don't give you any instructions on how to educate it. It's really unfortunate. But we should help parents be better at educating their kids and helping them realize that they are the teacher that starts the whole thing going.
In my introduction, a few sentences, I mentioned that parents are urgently looking for advices, for really things. 1 hour, that is a good, not something very vague or something detailed. What should we do? That's the question we always get from FOCUS-SCHULE. We want to get even more personal. So welcome on stage, Bettina Wulff. Yeah, she needs a mic. Hi. You can have a seat over there. Bettina Wulff.
Hello.
She's the former First Lady of Germany. You know this. She's a mother of 2 sons, 9 and 4.
That's right.
Something, yeah. And the patron of the foundation, A Chance for Children, Eine Chance für Kinder. She supports this foundation, supports expectant mothers, young mothers facing difficulties, social difficulties, money problems, all these things. But she has 2 sons, and she wants to ask her questions to these 2 experts, I would say. Well, I mean, this is probably teaching, education, what should you do at home with your iPad, and Gabi can answer what your sons probably will
do with your HP product.
Yeah. Or what they will do later when they are 20, probably.
So thank you very much,
Bettina,
for the nice introduction. Now I have the expert right in the front. So as a mother from 2 little boys, they grow up with iPad, iPhone, PC, whatever, the web, in a normal way. Of course, it's an everyday, let's say sometimes battle, to deal with this, because it's an everyday questioning, is it right to give the iPad, for example, before my older son is going to school? Is it good for him or not? As you just said, 1 hour
It's
a day.
not too long.
For me, I was a bit surprised about this. For me, it's a long time. I would expect that it's a very long time. So probably I'm too strict, perhaps. And the younger one, he's dealing with my mobile phone like it's a normal thing. So I have to work very hard with this, and he's dealing with this in a natural way. But nevertheless, I'm asking myself, and we as parents, we are asking ourselves, what do you think? What is the right, the perfect, the best age to bring young children or to connect them with
technology,
electronic or iPads or PCs? What do you think?
You know, I unfortunately don't think you have a lot of control because you are using a mobile phone, right?
Yeah,
and they
I do,
see you using it.
Yeah, of course.
And when they are like 10 or 11 months old, they want to eat your mobile phone. You know, and then as they get older, they want to play with your phone. Mm-hmm. So what's the correct age? They're going to figure it out on their own. I would say the correct age would probably be older than, you know, maybe 3 or so.
Yeah.
You know, they can learn the alphabet on the phone. They can learn to count on the phone. You know, they can learn, there's a few things that the phone's really useful for.
And do you think it would be good to in Germany, it's not very popular at the moment to bring PCs into the kindergarten, let's say, or to use them in the kindergarten as an instrument for education. What is your point of view?
My point of view on that is I think that they should start PCs in 3rd grade. Although I know there are schools that are bringing in at kindergarten, and they use it to teach the alphabet and to teach simple math. But I think students still need to learn to read and write and to actually write, because writing is disappearing because people are using the mobile device. And I think that if you bring it in at 3rd grade, they already have the basics of reading and writing, and then they can actually type on a computer. And it's interesting.
It's the useful application.
It's the useful. I believe in having them be creators of product, you know, so let them write a little story or take a picture and post it, or do things like that, as opposed to just being consumers of product. But I mean,
it's very hard to educate them in a way that they are not just consumers, but being creative and handle it on the right way.
But you know, once it is integrated, probably at that time as well, I think what will also change and what has to change is the way then they are tested, because then they can use all kinds of devices, whether it's diagrams and audio and video, to construct answers rather than to say it's this or it's that. The thinking is very different using this information. But I think, you know, to your point, I'd also agree, write and read and whatever is, you know, you need to get the basics, but then I think you need to start integrating it into all kinds of subjects.
Right. So you can integrate it into science and math. So like, for example, in math, you can use the app inventor. Actually, starting in 3rd or 4th grade, they learn a certain amount of algebra. It's easy. And then you can program your phone. And so all little kids would be interested in doing that.
We need some courses for parents, I think. I mean, I by myself, I'm not able to
program
my phone.
But they can show you how to do it.
Are you afraid that your kids play games on the computer or on the iPad?
Yeah, I think it's.
Do you allow this?
We talk a lot about this with other mothers especially when boys coming together in the afternoon, and we are just wondering what they are doing in their rooms.
But as it gets integrated, I mean, one of the projects that we're working on with the universities is where the kids create their own games.
That's right.
And this is how they learn again. So it's a great thing if you apply it the right way. But I would say one more thing about parents, and that is, not to be afraid to do reverse mentoring. You know, why should the kid not teach me what is going on? And it's not like this. It's going up and down and you know, left, right. And to do that as a manager in a company, to have young kids tell you how certain things work, I think is great. I mean, you know, and keep up with the developments that are happening out there. If I don't know how Twitter works, then I don't know what the hell they're doing. But if I at least know, then, you know, I have an understanding as to what's going on. And that doesn't mean that I have to tweet all day, but I always test everything because I want to know what it is and relate to these new technologies. Some of them are useful to me, some less, some
Are
more.
not.
So if you have a child that really all he wants to do is play games, so what you want to do is teach him how to create his own game, just like Gabi was saying. So I have a grandson. All he wanted to do was play games and take pictures, make movies. So we taught him Java. And he programs now. And not only that, he now makes movies. And he's like 12 years old.
Okay.
So, I mean, what you want to do is tie into their interests as opposed to, otherwise it's a situation where you're the police person, you know? You're like, no, you can't do it. No, no. And then, you know, go outside and play soccer. And it
Yeah, of
gets to
course.
be
So then I'm the bad mommy. So,
Yeah,
so
one more
I
question.
learned that I have to, even for myself, I have to learn more.
let them teach
Let
you.
them teach you, exactly.
To
That's how
share
it
this
is.
with my children.
Have fun together. You know, they'll enjoy teaching you how this is done.
Have fun
Look, Mom.
together, yeah, that's, thank you. Fun together. Well, but sometimes to be a mother or father is tough. I mean, they have to get up early, you have to keep them doing the work at home from school. It's not easy to be the one who is trying to get them on the right path. I think just have fun is good, but it's not easy. My daughter is 19. have done my job more or less, but I know it's
But
not.
then you get the
not easy.
result, I think.
Good. Thank you so much, Bettina Wulff. It's great that you were here. Thank you. And welcome on stage, Kate Griggs. We switched to adult education. Who was that? No, not me. Kate, where are you? Hi, come here. Kate Griggs is a British social entrepreneur. She founded a charity initiative, Extraordinary People, and changed, that's what I read, the thinking about dyslexia in Britain and the education of the kids. She was supported by Richard Branson. You probably know that man. He has done a lot of things. Jamie Oliver, Orlando Bloom. So you have a lot of famous supporters. Great.
Yeah, absolutely did for Extraordinary People. But today I'd love to talk to you about my new venture, which is called Untap.it.
Yeah, right. Now she's doing a new thing, creating an innovative digital business, and you will tell us about untapping, right? The
Yep.
world's most valuable resources, our talents, what we can do, and the website. The name is great, Untap.it. Untap
Thank
it,
you.
right? Kate Griggs.
Before I start, I'd just like to say how incredible it is to hear all these messages coming out, because they completely resonate with everything that I'm saying. Can everybody hear me okay? I just wanted to say it's fantastic to hear the messages coming out about education, because they completely resonate with everything that I believe. And as I go through my presentation with you today, hopefully it'll reinforce a lot of the comments that have been made. Untap.it aims to challenge or sort out one of what we believe is one of the biggest problems that the world faces, and that is the absolute waste of human potential. We're creating a digital platform which is aimed at young adults, and we hope with that digital platform to be able to really encourage people to find out more about what they're good at and to explore their potential. It's been a very long time in development, and actually we don't launch until next spring, so it's a bit of an exclusive talking to you here today because we haven't really talked about it openly before. What I'd like to share with you today is to highlight why there's a problem, and I think education and what you've heard earlier on is very much going to back that up, but also why we think Untap.it is going to help and be part of the solution, and why now. What would you think if I told you that a massive 2 out of 3 employees are disengaged in their jobs? Those are Gallup statistics, actually, for the UK and the US, but they're actually pretty much standard across most countries. But let me just put that into context. Imagine if just 1/3 of our electricity worked properly, or our schools, or our trains. It's unimaginable, really, isn't it? But what does that mean to our economies? Well, Gallup also put a cost on lost productivity to this. And each year they say that in the UK we're wasting £60 billion. In the US it's $300 billion. And here in Germany it's 109 billion euros, which is absolutely incredible at a time when we really, really can't afford to lose that. So how come we've got this big problem? Well, research tells us that half of us say that our jobs don't make use of our skills. Well, that in itself is going to lead to a huge amount of frustration, obviously. But I agree that with everything that's been said here today, and it is very much starting, I believe, with education. Just to give you another slide here, kids start out with endless creativity, endless imagination, just the most extraordinary dreams. And as they go through school, a lot of this at the moment is being educated out of them because the school system is so narrow and it's all based on exams. There was some research that was done recently on divergent thinking or creative thinking, so how many things you can think to do with a paperclip. Children at 5, when they start kindergarten, 98% are genius-level creative thinkers. By the time they get to 10, that figure's down to 32%. And by the time they actually leave full-time education, it's down to a staggering 2%. Yet despite CEOs and many employers telling us that creative thinking is one of the most important traits that their staff can have. But what would you think if I told you that 2 out of 3 of us say that education didn't find what we were good at? So we're starting out in our journey into working life without a real understanding of what our true potential is. And the IQ and how we actually measure intelligence as well is very outdated. The IQ tells us how likely we are to actually pass exams. But actually, some of the world's most successful people were college dropouts. There's not enough value put into 21st century skills like creativity, innovation, and emotional intelligence, something that we've heard we're all born with. So all of those things, we believe, is creating this disengaged workforce. But let me just tell you a little bit about me. This is my son, Ted, who's now 18 and probably going to hate me for showing you this picture. Like me, Ted is dyslexic, and school for us was not a brilliant fit, I have to be honest. But actually, being dyslexic can be a real plus point, because whilst you have psychologists assessing your difficulties, they also highlight your talents. And I don't know how much you know about dyslexia, but the whole reason behind my dyslexia charity was to highlight these huge talents. And they tend to be 21st century skills, creativity, communication, innovation, all of those things. Ted was very lucky because we found out what he was good at and what he loved, and it was performing and music and singing. And he's gone on to follow that as a career. He's becoming a singer-songwriter, and he's actually just been signed by the Gorillaz manager, so we're all very, very excited, and hopefully he'll go on to achieve everything he wants to. But it was Ted's experiences at school that prompted me to start my dyslexia charity, Extraordinary People. And during that time, I actually interviewed some of the world's most successful dyslexics, so from racing drivers through to Richard Branson, through to all sorts of extraordinary people. And I found a definite recipe for success. There was something they were doing, the way that they think, the way that they'd actually tapped into their talents that enabled them to actually excel and do really well in life. I then met all sorts of leading psychologists and neuroscientists and experts in personal development to really get an understanding behind the science and what it was about these successful people. And that's when I became really, really passionate about this issue of potential. Because the recipe successful dyslexics use is very much the recipe that all successful people seem to use. And I believe that the world needs to understand those ingredients and be able to have access to them. And that's why I started Untap.it. We aim to encourage everybody to explore their potential, to discover their super you inside them. And we will be doing that by creating the Untap.it platform. As I say, Untap.it doesn't launch until spring, but I'll give you an idea of what it's going to actually have. The first thing we're going to have is very, very rich content, all sorts of interviews, so sort of a YouTube for potential, if you like. We've interviewed all sorts of celebrities, lots of exceptional people from all walks of life, so people in regular jobs through to astronauts. And it is very much, as Jamie says there, it's very much about democratizing good advice. They all share their stories of how they got to where they got to, what some of their pitfalls are, really sort of getting under the skin of it all, to really give the feeling that, you know, if I can do it, so can you. We've also got experts in potential and coaches who are going to be sharing their advice on what people need to do to actually discover their potential. So we'll be giving the user, if you like, a potential toolkit. It'll be ever expanding, and we're adding to it constantly as we speak. The next thing that we're going to be doing, which is the thing that I'm most excited about, probably because I'm dyslexic, is that we want to create an alternative, perhaps we could call it, to the IQ test. It's a revolutionary test that we're calling the potential quotient, so the PQ. And it looks at 21st century skills. It looks at you as a whole. It looks at your talents, your values, your beliefs, really trying to get an understanding of what makes you tick, because many people don't actually understand what makes them tick when they come out of the education system. It'll also highlight any blockers that you may have in your ways, potential blockers. And if you remember, we've got the potential toolkit that will help you move through those and give you advice to move forward. The PQ test is going to be games-based. It's going to be fun. You won't be able to fail it. You'll get your own personal imprint as a form of result. But the most important thing is it's going to be free to the world. So anybody with access to the internet will be able to go online and take the PQ test. We also have a community aspect to Untap.it. Ours is a community with a purpose. We're very much want to encourage people to get them to share and to help untap, so very much peer-to-peer. So a bit like a digital buddy system, if you like. But it's going to be connecting you with people that you should know, as well as people that you do know. I guess you could describe it with elements of Quora in terms of there'll be experts who will be sharing their advice as well. So it's very much embracing the spirit of sharing knowledge that we know is just so important at the moment. So I guess you could say Untap.it's about encouragement, discovery, possibility, and inspiration. As I say, it's launching in spring 2013, UK, US first, with the rest of the world following soon after. We're very, very interested in actually encouraging the spirit of sharing and partnering. So if this is resonating with anybody in the audience, we really would love to hear from you. We're particularly interested to hear from sponsors or from potential expansion partners in different territories, and also investors actually for our next stage of funding. So I'd just like to close now with a quote from Oprah, but we actually really do believe that this is what the world is hungry for, because if we did everything we were capable of, we would literally astound ourselves. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Kate. Please have a seat here. You don't have a mic. Well, okay. I'm wondering, how do you? Oh, great.
Hello.
How did you get all these well-known people to support you? One sentence. How do you do it?
I think the world genuinely wants to help each other. I think my experience of celebrities is that they want to share what they know, and I think that, you know, they want to encourage others. So it's quite an easy ask, actually.
Good. Shai, Reshef, our last panelist. We've switched to university education. Shai is a social entrepreneur. He has 20 years of experience in the international education market. And I read he is an ultimate game changer in education. He was nominated by Wired magazine to be one of the 50 people changing the world. Well, here you are. He is the president of University of the People, a tuition-free, non-profit online academic institution. You will tell us what it is all about. You will tell us about the universities you are cooperating with and all the details. I think it's a very interesting and, well, Gabi, what would you say? It's something really in the line what you told us, where the future is.
Absolutely a game changer, as we said earlier.
That it is,
It's
right?
changing the rules here.
Okay, Shai, up to you. 10 minutes, okay?
Thank you. Thank you so much for inviting me and giving me so much time. Thank you. I've presented University of the People in numerous places around the world, some of them very prestigious. I'm very excited to be here, though, at the DLDwomen and tell you about what has happened to the University of the People since I announced it at the DLD 3 years ago. And this is so important for me, so significant for me, because I believe that you are the audience that can understand, can identify, and can help us to further realize our mission. And our mission is to open the gates to higher education for everyone. And this is especially true to women in developing countries, many of whom are deprived from higher education. And I want to read to you what one of our students, I'm trying.
Okay. Oh, so keep talking, Shai.
Okay.
Try it
no,
that
that's
way.
not
Okay,
the one.
here we go.
That's not the one.
It's not really working.
Wow. You see all the secrets. Okay. One of our students, Nanawau from Gambia, says, University of the People has empowered us, giving us the basic right of education. Even though we were rags and never had a penny, they opened their doors and saw the potential in us. An educated nation is an empowered nation. Your people is here to empower us and to build nations. This is University of the People. We open the gates to higher education for everyone, men and women. And let me give you some examples of what I mean by opening the gates to everybody. Take, for example, Yassine from Benin. She was born to a poor family, but was able to go to school, only until her parents lost their job and she was forced to quit. She had to go on the streets to sell fruits. For 5 years, she sold fruits on the streets until her uncle was able to help her going back to school. She graduated with great grades. She applied to a university. She asked for a scholarship. She got denied. No hope, no chance for a bright future, until she became a student of University of the People. For women like Yassine, the gates to higher education are now open. Take Nelia from Peru. She was on her way to her university. She got into a devastating car accident, spent 1.5 years in the hospital to come out on a wheelchair. She couldn't find nor afford handicap-accessible university where she lives. No hope, no bright future, until she became a student of University of the People. For women like Nelia, the gates to higher education are now open. Last but obviously not least, Mary from Tanzania. She's a mother to a young boy, But she lives in a country where women, culturally, for cultural reasons, are discouraged from going back to school. Not even mentioning being able to afford it. Again, no hope, no chance for a bright future until she became a student of University of the People. For people like Marie, the gates to higher education are now open. So these are a few examples of women who were lucky and made it into University of the People. But they also represent millions and millions of women around the world for whom the gates to higher education are being closed. For them, we started the University of the People to open the gates to higher education for everyone. When I announced the University of the People here at the DLD 3 years ago, it was for me a significant turning point in my life. I've been in for-profit education for over 20 years. I've been in charge of educational programs for hundreds of thousands of students from kindergarten to college level. Among others, I started the first online university outside of the US in Europe. That's where I learned how powerful online learning can be. We had students from all over the world. They stayed at home, they kept their job, and still got this great education. But while having this great success, deep inside, I felt uncomfortable. Because for most people, this great education was nothing but a wishful thinking. It was too expensive. I sold this business and I sold this university and the rest of my business, and I went into semi-retirement, only to realize that it's not really for me. I wanted to continue. But it was also clear to me that I do not want to do more of the same. I have enough. I'm fortunate. It's my turn now to give back. And if I want to give back, I want to do it in a way that will have an impact on the world. And if you want to have an impact on the world, it must be through education. And this is not because that's the only thing I know how to do, which is, by the way, the truth, but also, and more important, when you think about it, when you educate one person, you can change life. But when you educate many, you can change the world. So I looked around, and I realized that much that is needed to open the gates to higher education is available and for free. Open source technology that is there for everyone to use for free, open educational resources, content that people produce and put on the net for the rest of the world to use for free, and the new internet culture of social networking where people share, teach, and learn from each other for free. All I had to do is to bring it all together. So I did, and I created University of the People. University of the People is the first ever non-profit, tuition-free online university. The gates to higher education are now open to everyone. As I said, we announced this university 3 years ago, but let me tell you what we have achieved since. We have accepted so far 1,500 students, 1,500 students. 95%, by the way, are saying that they would recommend us to their friends as a good place. I guess it must mean that we do something right. They are coming from 132 countries, from the United States to the United Arab Emirates, from Indonesia to Micronesia, from South Sudan to Azerbaijan, every corner of the world. For these 1,500 students, we have 2,900 volunteering professors. 2,900 volunteering professors jump on board to help our students. We have a ratio of about two professors to each student. I'm not sure that there are a lot of universities with this kind of ratio. And look where they're coming from. They're coming from the best universities. Our President Council consists of the Vice Chancellor of Oxford, the President of NYU, the Rector of the Academy of Paris, and others. Our Provost team are from Columbia University, Our deans are from NYU and our top academic leadership coming from Harvard, Yale, Michigan, INSEAD, etc. We are partners with Yale Law School for research. We are partners with NYU, where our best students, after a year with us, can be accepted to NYU Abu Dhabi, fully paid by NYU. And we are partners with HP to offer our students the opportunity for online internship. We have over 1 million fans on Facebook. Over 1 million fans on Facebook. We are the second largest university in the world on Facebook. We are second to Harvard. We are number 2. It means that we should try harder, right? We are especially proud that we were able to cut down almost the entire cost of higher education. We are tuition free. The only thing we expect our students to pay is the end of exams fees. So the only thing they pay is the end of exams fees, and even that only if they can afford it. We offer business administration and computer science. And the reason for that is clear. Our students are coming to us in order to have better chance for their future. And for that reason, business administration and computer science are the likeliest program to help them find a job, because these are the 2 programs most in demand worldwide. But there is another reason that for us is as important, or maybe even more important. When our students take a class, they are being put together in a virtual classroom with 25 students from 25 different countries. A program is about, a bachelor degree program is about 40 courses. 40 times in a row. Every time, 3 more minutes. Every time they take a course, they are being put together with 25 students from 25 different countries. We believe that this is extremely element in our program because picture for a second what happened when students from Israel and Palestine study together. Picture what happened when students from India and Pakistan study together. Picture what happened when students from Greece and Turkey study together. They learn to know each other, to understand and to respect each other. Instead of being enemies outside of the class, they become friends. We believe that this is extremely important element in our program, which brings peace a bit closer in our world. There is one element in our program that I'm extremely disappointed of. Only 20% of our students are women. 80% of our students are male, 20% are women. And if you look at sub-Saharan Africa, the situation is even worse. Only 10% of our students in sub-Saharan Africa are women. And this is so striking because our programs are especially geared toward being able to assist women. I want to change this situation. I want to educate more women. I hope that you and your companies will be able to assist us there. I want you to imagine. Stop for a second and imagine. Imagine what will happen if we have 1,000 women from sub-Saharan Africa studying with us, getting American education, graduating with an American degree. Imagine what it will do to the women, to their families, to their countries, and to the world. And obviously to their continent as well. Don't stop imagine. Imagine also what will happen if these 1,000 women will come from every continent. I created University of the People in order to open the gates to higher education for everyone. It is my desire to make a gender balance. I'm especially happy to be here because I believe that you are the very people who represent the organization that can help us in doing so. I'm very pleased to announce the creation of University of the People Women's Scholarship Fund to help the women who are eligible for higher education but cannot afford even the examination fee. I hope you will be able to help them financially. $1,000 will pay for a woman for a year of study of a woman. $2,000 will bring her all the way to associate degree. I hope that you will help us make a difference. I hope that you will help us to change the future of women and the world. Join us in bringing democracy, in opening the gates to higher education for everyone. Thank you so much. And sorry for the extra. And I apologize for taking 3 more minutes.
No, that's fine. You touched our hearts, definitely. Shai, we heard you need support, you need money, and Steffi. Steffi always has a good idea, and she has a network. Okay. Yeah, we know, you solved so many problems, Steffi. Can't you help Shai?
Shai, I was very impressed about what
you
initiated and you do, and how you enable young women to really to get education and to make a difference. And I think DLDwomen and the DLD network should support you by all means. Please, dear audience, help us with this. Let's support Shai with the DLDwomen scholarship. Let's support him. Let's support him. Do something. Do something. You know, DLD is not about talking. DLD is always about acting. The talks are only the initiation. After the talks, please go out and act. And here, there's something where we all can act. So, help us.
Thank you.
Gabi, help us.
Yeah. So I think what this needs is
support.
And I'm really pleased because we do think at HP that this is democratizing education, and that access to education is everything that you need for your personal well-being as well as for the country, basically. And these folks are from everywhere. So what we're doing is we're going to invest $100,000 this year in your program and $100,000 next to make sure that we get these women through the program. And again, it's a fabulous program, so very pleased to do that.
Gabi's always someone who makes a difference. Gabi, thank you so much.
Make it happen.
We learned so much from you. You make a difference. Esther, you make a difference. How do you like this, what Shai just did?
Great, it's great, and I'm on the board. So I wanted to tell you, yes, in advance. It's a great concept.
Okay, how would you like it?
It's absolutely fantastic. It's wonderful, really wonderful.
I'm blushing from all the compliments.
What would you recommend to Shai? What should he do that he gets funding for his university?
Tap into the network.
Except talking to Gabi. Has someone an idea from you? Silence, I can't believe it. My God.
Speechless.
You're a coward. Membership fees, what?
From the paying universities.
Okay.
What?
Membership fees from all the private universities.
Sure, great idea. I hope they will agree.
Another idea? You're so creative.
To the left,
Michael Conrad, he's my hero. Always was.
A lot of heroes.
Build the future of your university on your alumni.
It's a great idea. Since our students are coming from 130 countries, most of them are very poor. I hope you're right. We'll see. But it's a good idea, obviously. Yeah.
So please talk to Shai later on. Give him good ideas. Give him money. Help him if you help him, I'm sure at the end you will help yourself.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, Steffi. Thanks. And thanks, Gabi.
Well, last sentence, I thank you. We are a little late, so I skip off my closing remarks. I wish you a nice afternoon, nice evening, and tomorrow a great day. Okay, thank you all very much. Thank you.